Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. And today I am going into another migraine. I can tell. So I decided to go ahead and read William's article that I haven't read yet. And as I told you guys, I don't react to William when I'm totally lucid. I like to when I'm low dough, when I'm migraine-y, when there's something. I would even react to him just totally drunk, but I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it under other circumstances. Maybe one day if I just want to have a bunch of red 40, then I'll just react to William that day, which I'm wanting a moment. I want Mike and Ike so bad. I'm craving it. I was watching all of these interviews today with my cousin about Millie Bobby Brown and Louis Partridge, because I'm trying to get the Olivia tea and all that, and they were doing all this Britishy food versus American food, and she was comparing Mike and Ike to something else, something Britishy. I don't remember. I think it was assorted licorice assortments or something like that. And I was like, I want Mike and Ike now. So that's what happens. That's how Auntie got on that journey. So point is, if I have something to react to by William and I want to eat red 40 and just go crazy one day, then I'll just do it. But today, I have a migraine. So we're going to get into this. I don't want to. I never do. So let me just say some terms before I get into it, because I don't want to. But on this channel, I refer to EFAW by the letter D as the toxic ritualistic. William tends to talk about that a lot, so I just wanted to make that term clear up front. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. A universal reason to recover, an infallible foundation for recovery. So already I'm rolling my eyes. William is not recovered at all. So William is what I would call a bloater, because I like to use The Last of Us Zombies to teach about severity. And he is really bad. His whole life is about his issue. I actually think that he's talking to Mia. That's my best guess. But he is real deep. And it's bad. So, yeah, he has not recovered at all. So he should not be talking about recovery, in my opinion. But let's get into it. You want me to hate my body? The thing that lets me cuddle with my cat? I wrote this the other day and it resonated with a lot of people. It gave them a new reason to recover and appreciate their bodies in a way they haven't before. And boy, oh boy, do I feel proud of that. So I just have to say, this is very, I used to be real deep. I was talking to Bingo, replace the O with an E, okay? Very severely so. And I cuddled with my cats and I was huge. So this doesn't help. I used to have cats. And it didn't help at all. So to me, it's a very loose platitude. It doesn't really do anything. You can also cuddle your cat. If your weight normalized, you don't have to be huge. But also, it's just so unrelated to recovery, period. It's you can cuddle a cat not recovered, you can cuddle a cat recovered. It has nothing to do with it. That's basically how my brain is seeing it. But unfortunately, not everyone has an adorable, handsome, one-eyed cat like my Valentine, and it got me thinking about the things we say to people to convince them to recover, particularly the reasons we put out into the social media void, hoping they land in front of the people who need to hear them. These pleas include, Don't focus on how your body looks. Focus on how it feels. Don't focus on how your body looks. Focus on what it can do. Don't focus on how your body looks. Focus on how it fights to keep you alive. So I think that all of these things are better than focusing on how your body looks. So I would agree with all of that. In that sense, like if our choices are that, and it can be hard if you're so severe to like just stop thinking about it so much in general. And also too, if we have deep health issues, which I just talked about in my video talking about Brie yesterday, if you have deep health issues, you have to think about your body. You have to consider your body. So I would try to shift the person to, instead of focusing on what it looks like, focus on taking care of your body. Focus on taking care of it and focus on integrating it into your whole identity. It is a part of you. Okay? So that's what I would say. Physically, focus on taking care of your body. Psychologically, focus on integrating your body into your psyche and not separating from your body. I'm going to start saying that. Your body. Yours. So you need to take care of your body, period. So I would just say that, and I would say don't base your treatment of your body on your feelings or on your anxiety. So that's a logical framework. It's practical. You have to stop immediately. And then eventually, when your health does improve, then you don't have to think about it all the time. And then you can be like I am now, and I don't think about it. Like, I think about my body as much as a normal person, you know? Like, I don't obsess. I don't obsess over how my body looks. I don't obsess about how my body feels. But I also don't dissociate. That's balance. That's recovery, right? You view your body as a normal person views their body. So it's like if I'm too hot, I will, change clothes or something. If I'm too cold, I'll put on a jacket. I just went to the movies. I just saw a scary movie today. I saw a scary movie with my grandma, which, oh my God. Oh, man. Super inappropriate, but whatever. And I got cold, so I made sure I brought a jacket, because even though it's as hot as the sun outside in Alabama, and we are in the summer solstice, and it is like this huge heat wave, and it's hot and it's humid, and they're like literally like sending us alerts on our phone of like, you could die if you were outside in the heat. They were like, until 7 p.m. So it's literally like, it's a thing. And so all that aside, I am not dissociated from my body. I know that with the air conditioning in the theater, I can get cold. So I brought a jacket because I don't want to get sick. You see? Is that obsessing? No. I was hot when I first got in the theater, but as the time went by, the air conditioning and everything, I started to cool off, and then I started to get chilly, started to get cold. And so I think right before the movie started, I put my jacket on that I brought. You see how that's not dissociating, but it's not obsessing either. You see? It's normal. So you want to be as normal as possible. That's the goal. And at this point, self-care or body care is just a part of everyday life for me. It's normalized. So, but even something like that, that's just the example. I'm trying to show you guys what balance is, right? And it's easier to not focus as much on the size once you're not fluctuating as much. So once you've normalized or mostly normalized, that part gets much easier. It is challenging when you're going through a lot of shifts, and it's understandable, but you must weight normalize. Weight normalization is a part of recovery, period. I don't accept it. Without it on this channel, I don't. You're not recovered if you're not weight normalized. No. So, but yeah, it can be tough if you are shifting. That's understandable. It's a trigger you have to deal with. But when you are mostly normalized or close to complete normalization, or like I'm just in like a vanity era, like it's not anything. It's especially glacial now, so it's really easy to just not think about it. For me at this point. But I can understand if you are shifting, it's triggering, it's challenging, but you have to face that challenge, period. I'll hold your hand when I tell you that, but just because something's triggering doesn't mean that you never can do it or you can never deal with it or no. You're supposed to work past triggers without the coping mechanism. That's recovery. Okay, anyways, let's continue. These are common reframes in EFOB by the letter D recovery spaces. They are well-intentioned phrases meant to encourage people to recover, and they have. Many people have used these sentiments as driving motives for their recovery, and they have been effective. Maybe one of them has even worked for you, dear reader, and honestly, truly, I love that for you. Oh my gosh. Not the American, I love that for you. Sorry. Oh my God. I like to say that sarcastically a lot of the time, but it's just funny to me that he used it. Anyways. Ooh, it's pretty Californian too. I love that for you. I'm going to say it like that. Recovery is hard, and whatever helps you to do it, especially in the beginning, is something I would encourage. Okay. However, these motives are not universal. Okay. It is not helpful to tell a person who experiences chronic pain to focus on how their body feels. So what is your suggestion then, William? Dissociation. I think that you have to manage. If you have conditions, you do need to be aware because you need to manage them. You know? Of course, it's a balance, right? You don't want to obsess, but you don't want to dissociate. And again, it can be hard in the TR, the toxic ritualistic mind, to see that balance. You tend to see things so black and white. So I'm asking you to not. I'm asking you to look at it gray, right? So you have to be like, I'm not going to obsess, but I'm not going to dissociate either. You have to be aware. You need to be aware of your body, but not obsessed with your body, you see? Okay. It is not helpful to tell a disabled person to focus on what their body can do. And I would argue that while these mantras might help you recover initially, they might not be the best foundation to build your recovery on for the rest of your life. So I would say if your weight is involved in why you can't do something, I do think it's important to focus on regaining that functionality. That's what I'm going to say. So I will just say that. Okay. Many of us will end up with chronic pain, disabilities, and terminal illnesses at some point. Some of us are already living with and through these conditions, and still we all deserve at least one reason to fight for recovery anyway. Well, I would just say being hugely big is going to more than likely make chronic pain worse. It will complicate any disabilities you have. On the terminal, I can't even talk. Here I go. As far as terminal illness, I think I feel like, ballpark at least, diving headfirst into toxic ritualistic behaviors would probably make it worse, whether that's being overly reductive or playing bingo, right? I think it would be worse either way. So, anyways, so why should we all recover? Why should we all fight for recovery? I wrestled with this question a lot in my early days of creating recovery content. My goal was usually to catch people watching videos on their phone mid blankety blank thought or action and give them a chance to interrupt it and change course. I would say things like, stop scrolling on your phone to distract from stomach growling. Be careful with YouTube. Or stop looking in the mirror. Your physical form hasn't changed since you looked 5 minutes ago. I think that's a good one to say. I think that's good. I think what I would even say deeper is stop astroturfing an emotional reaction or acting shocked because we don't shift enough for you to be shocked. That's not real. So focus on the fakeness of that emotion. It is fake. And dispel it, because you can't actually be shocked every time you see yourself. That's false. Like, that is fake. So, and it's just not that fast. It's just not. It doesn't change that fast for you to be like, oh my gosh. You know, it isn't like that. And that's how you feel when you're triggered by the mirror. It's like, it is ridiculous, and you need to be aware that it is ridiculous. It is. It's not real. You're building it up. You're doing like a role play session with yourself. You know, you're playing a game. It's a mind game. And that's very DIS ordered, right? So I would say that, because at this point, I don't get triggered by seeing myself in the mirror. I haven't in a long time. I think the last time I was like, ooh, triggered, you know, like, oh my gosh, was, I talked about it before. It was 2024 in September in Virgo season. I'm just kidding. That's for my Astro Girly Pops. My Astro Girlies and Boilies. But, and then the other time I wasn't really triggered in April, but I was tempted. I was tempted to keep the cut going longer. And then I was like, no, bitch. Like, if you do that, you're going to end up playing bingo, because you need to stop, or you need to, like, you know, make it more shallow. It's too deep for too long, kind of thing. So, but as I've said, I've never had any of the other issues. I've only ever played bingo. I've only ever talked to bingo. So even if I were to go overly reductive, all that would end up happening is I'd end up playing bingo, you know? And then I probably end up upsizing. So, yeah. But that's just me. I mean, other people can transfer, or like shift, I guess. I don't know what else you could say, but a lot of people shift towards Mia or shift out of Mia. So, anyways. But for me, it just wasn't my experience. I got close to it one time in 2019. I was like on the border. I do see it as a spectrum, so I was kind of like getting towards Mia, but I wasn't there. I never was. Because let's just say what went down went back up, put it to you that way. So, and it was pretty fast, and it was all part of bingo, which people don't realize that there's a reductive side to that, and it can involve downsizing as well and all that stuff. And that's why you have a lot of fat activists. They're like, there are fat people that under consume and blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, it's called bingo. It's called binge. You're in the reductive part of the cycle, and then you always go back up every time. So yeah, anyways, so and while these videos often caught people doing these very things, I couldn't guarantee that everyone watching them needed to hear them. I told through all of the statements I listed. Sorry, that just irritated me as a statement. I'm like, okay, I don't know. That's just stupid from like a content creation perspective, but that's why I had that reaction. I just feel like I have to tell you guys because I can't Especially when I'm like all migraine-y. I'm like, ugh. And plus, I told you guys, I really personally don't like William. So if I'm a little spicier, or if I'm a little like, now you know why, okay? I toiled through all of the statements I listed above, trying to figure out one that applied to everyone, and none of them did. After all, the world might make you hate your body. No, not true. It's externalizing blame. So remember, you are hating your physical form in order to distract yourself from things that feel out of control. That's what it's about. It's a grounding thing, or it's an attempt at grounding. It's not actually grounding, obviously, it's horrible. But it's an attempt to ground yourself in something. So you ground yourself from a bingo perspective, or BING perspective. You ground yourself in the fact that you have failed when it comes to your body, basically. Or I'm a failure in this area of life. It's a predictable pain. So, again, the TR is not really, it's not about pleasure, it's about predictability. And that's why I don't love comparisons to addiction, because addiction conversations are usually centered around pleasure, or they're centered around like a baseline, or trying to maintain a baseline, like when you have tolerance and stuff like that. However, the TR has social similarities to alcoholism and physical similarities to alcoholism. So I understand why people think that, because it's similar. There's similar hormone pathways. There's similar behaviors. Like if you leave the toxic ritualistic, everyone hates you. They're like, you're horrible. You're the worst person ever, right? Same thing with drinking. So there's a reason why that, like, and I will acknowledge that, especially that one. So especially alcoholism, it's the most similar to it. But also there's a lot of overlap between the two. So you have to be aware of that too. And people within the TR will use alcohol. So, yeah. And then people that struggle with alcohol will often, over or underdo it too. So there's like overlap there. But the point is, the TR at its root, or the toxic ritualistic, E followed by letter D at its root, it's not about pleasure, it's about predictability. So it's about, I know what I'm doing, I know what's going to happen, I know what the outcome will be, basically. And it's a way to try to get certainty. So within the BINGE perspective, which is where I'm coming from, so that's where I can talk the most about, it's, I know that if I go down, I will go back up. I know that my weight will never change because I will keep it this way. And you will literally hear people talking to bingo. They will bring up specific numbers all the time. All the time. Well, one time I got down to, every time, this is my set point. There's even this toxic ritualistic folklore of set point, right? So that's that same thought process. So it's similar to the reductive too. It's much more similar to the reductive than to addiction, obviously, but because I believe it's a spectrum. But the point is, it's about predictability. And one of the biggest triggers for people in the issue is unpredictability. So if something doesn't go according to plan, or if something changes suddenly, so that's why like one of the most common triggers is a death, for example. It's because that's out of your control, and it's can be a shock, right? Super triggering. That's a huge example of a majorly triggering thing. And it's talked about a lot. So I'm just trying to tell you like what it's about. It's about predictability. It's about knowing outcomes. So a lot of times if you're talking to people that are dealing with the TR, you have to tell them, basically, you have to accept unpredictability as a part of life. and you have to, oh my gosh, I forgot what the other point was. Damn it. Hold on, let me pause for a second. And you have to deal with your control issues. That's what I was trying to say. Because everybody in the TR has control issues. So, for example, I talk a lot about like attachment style overlap. So attachment style issues can definitely overlap with the TR. So it's like, I want to control my partner to get security from my partner, right? Or I want to do that, that kind of stuff is very TR. So it's like, you have to, like, that's how control issues show up, is in that kind of stuff where I want to control what other people say about people's bodies, or, something like that. That's very controlling. Or even I want to control what other people consume around me, or, these types of things. So I'm trying to show you these different control aspects that come in. So it's like, you have to let go of that stuff, and you have to like accept uncertainty as a part of life. And there's just all these deeper things that underlie it. And then you have to really understand what's in your control and what's out of your control. And one thing that is in your control is your weight. So you have to understand that. And with that control, you have an understanding that you have a responsibility to weight normalize. Okay? So that is something that would piss off a lot of people in the issue. And they do not want to hear it, but it's the truth. And I'm going to say it. Okay. Let's continue. I toiled through, okay, blah, blah. After all of this, the world might make you hate your body, as it certainly taught most of us to do through negativity or discrimination. Honestly, your body might make you hate it. I don't want to say it too much because I'm paranoid about you too. And far be it for me to tell you that your body that is in chronic pain or cannot do the things it used to or is terminally ill is not for you to resent. You have every right to feel how you feel about the experience of being in your body. Yeah, as I told you, your feelings do not determine your practical routines or your self-care. So that's where we begin and end with the conversation of feelings. You don't base brushing on your teeth on how you feel. You don't base taking a shower on how you feel. You don't do that. That's stupid. So, again, you can have whatever feelings you want, but you got to divorce those feelings from your behaviors around consumption. That's a major thing. Once that happens, then you're free, basically. And it's not even just emotions. It's also, you have to think, because there are a lot of people that are not particularly emotional that are in the TR, but it's anxiety. So it always goes back to anxiety. So emotions can create anxiety. The anxiety is the trigger for the behaviors. So when you get to a point where you can feel anxious and not do the behaviors, then it's broken. The shackles are broken, basically. And then eventually you can get to a point where you can have feelings and it won't necessarily create anxiety too. Because you understand, like, you can't control your feelings all the time, right? But your feelings aren't necessarily real all the time, and they're not something you have to act on immediately all the time either. So I try to talk a lot about that just because I am a very emotional person. And so I try to keep that person in mind when I talk about these things. So once we can do all that, then you get even more stable, then it's even easier, But anyways, okay. Okay. And thinking through all of that felt discouraging. Was I full of bullshit saying everyone should recover if I couldn't find a reason that applied to everybody? Why should everyone bother with recovery? Why should everyone feed their body? So I would just say, like, you have to want it. And that part is really hard, especially if somebody's very deep. So I'm interested to see what he says, I guess. Okay. But I finally landed on an answer, because their body is how they're here, because your body is how you're here. Okay. This may seem too simple a truth, but it's true. Your body is the vessel through which you get to experience the world. And furthermore, it's the vessel through which the world is lucky enough to experience you. So I don't like the vessel comment. This is not good. This is very TR. So remember, your body is you. Okay. Now, I understand spiritual beliefs and all that stuff. And I myself, I do believe in the afterlife and all that. So I'm not like, coming for anybody's belief system. But you are your body until you unalive. And then there's a separation at that point. So let's shift the language and say your body is you until such a time that a split occurs. Okay. And then obviously if you're just atheist or whatever, then I guess it's just done, but for the time being, your body is you. Okay. Let's integrate. Let's be super integrated. I don't love this. I don't like this language. So remember, body hate is self-hate, period. The TR is highly fueled by self-hatred. It's one of the biggest drives for it. And, self-criticism and obsession with your flaws and obsession with everything you can't stand about yourself. And, just that is really one of the biggest drives for people that are in the issue is self-hatred. So if you hate your body, you're hating yourself. Your body is you. Okay? If there is a way to separate consciousness from the body, we don't know of it for sure. Some people believe we have souls and an afterlife, but some people don't believe in those things, and none of us can be 100% sure of anything beyond the here and now. However, what I can guarantee is that every single one of you is in a body and using it in some way to read this essay. Okay. He's trying to get spiritual, y'all. He's trying. It's interesting, I guess, but I think he's just kind of, I think with him, this is kind of, I don't know, I just don't buy it. It's kind of like a false recovery thing, But anyways, I'm not going to lie to you and suggest that the world is a happy place all the time. Right now, especially, it isn't. And while holding that truth, I know one thing for a fact: the world is better with you in it. Committing to recovery guarantees as much as anything that you will stick around longer. So that's true. I think you should give yourself the best shot, and it's never too late to try and all that stuff. And it can feel hopeless, but you have to just, I've said this before. I got a lot of flack in December when I was talking about spirituality and stuff, which I didn't feel like I had to be like the most serious person in December, because nobody's trying to downsize in December. Not really. Come on. But I just wanted to talk about the spirituality stuff because I thought it was fun and funny and stuff. And people were really upset. I had like a little moment with my audience then, and I just said, people can hate on faith, but faith is what got me to recover, and faith is what got me to downsize. And, when you're told forever that it can never happen, I used to believe it was impossible, and I was told constantly, especially doing this work, I'm constantly being gaslit by fat activists, right? And I hadn't done it. I just had faith that it could happen. And especially in my tortured era, when I was morbidly obese, I wasn't sure. I wasn't completely sure because I hadn't seen it. When I got to the low of, I have to be careful with YouTube. when I got to a certain zone that I was the furthest I'd ever gotten, I was not sure that it could shift beyond. But it did. You know, it was my tortured era, so I just put on But Daddy, I Love Him, and I just ran. You know, it's like you just run. You just do it. You don't think about it. And everybody says you can't, and the peanut gallery is bitching at you, and they're like, oh my gosh, and you're trying to do this, and they do all that crap, and you just run because you're going to do it. And it's hard, but you have to have faith to do that. So it's like I've said, I'm like, people can hate on faith or whatever, but you have to believe that you can, like, in order to recover, you have to have the faith that you can live without it. That takes a leap of faith. So I'm like, whatever, you know, you guys can hate on it, but that's how I got here, because it wasn't, you know, if I wanted to look at scientific data, I could look at every study that could confirm my bias. And by the way, they do it all the time. But you have to believe. And I do think that when we do this activism and we do downsizing visibility, that's very important. That really helps so much, just to see it be done. That really, really helps a lot. And it's a huge part of the activistic process and all these things. But I understand it's not for everybody. But that's something that helps other people to have the faith too, that they can do it. So there is an element of that within toxic ritualistic recovery, is all I'm trying to say. So you have to believe that you can. And I try to do my best to imbue that sense of hope, even if I am critical too, because I'm critical of the toxic ritualistic logic or not logic. I don't even want to call it logic. But I mean, I guess it is E fall but letter D logic, right? But that, like, I'm critical of all of those mindsets and behaviors and all that stuff all across the spectrum. Again, you will not be reinforced of anything on this channel ever. I'm like so against all of them. You have to be against all of them. If you're against one of them, you got to be against all of them. And I am 100%. But it's like, as critical as I can be, I try to imbue that sense of hope too, because that's so important for recovery. And so support is really helpful. And it sucks because fat activists want to take that support away, which is horrifically devastating. It is horrible. And no, I'm not letting them. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching this. I will talk to you guys later. I hope you enjoyed this, even though I have a migraine. I wasn't that bad this time. I hope the migraine isn't that bad. This time it was horrible the last time. But hopefully this time it won't be as bad. But I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much. Bye.